What's going on, makers? How we doing today? Congratulations on making it to the last day of Makeshop camp. I know it's been a little bit different than camp in years past, but alas, I hope you guys enjoyed every day thus far. We did some weaving on Tuesday with paper and some different fibers. Then yesterday we had that fun suspension bridge challenge, which was pretty cool. So today we're going to do something that is very, very fun, very much in the spirit of play. And we're also going to be jumping mediums again. So today we are going to be working with acrylic paint for this activity. I'm pretty sure, I know that we've never done this in the makerspace here before, because I just did a trial run of this activity. It was my first time ever doing it, and I very much enjoyed it. I knew this would be a good one. But this is pretty neat. So what we're doing is called an acrylic pour over. And basically it is a technique where we use acrylic paints. We kind of mess with the density of the paints a little bit. So, and that affects the texture. So density is a fun science word that your teachers will be impressed if you know. That basically just kind of means the mass, or like the weight is a good way to understand it. How heavy that a certain object is, and it could be a liquid or a solid. So, you know, even using paint, we're still talking about liquids. So we mess with the density of the acrylic paints so that it has a nice kind of like flowy honey-like texture to it. And then we set up three different colors, get them to the right correct density and consistency that we want. Then we mix all three of those together. But we don't stir that mixture. You'll see when I get there. We kind of just pour them on top of one another. And then the paints sort of with their different weights, it mixes a little bit. You'll see what I mean whenever we get a little bit further. But yeah, they basically just settle on top of one another. And then we're going to eventually basically just end up kind of pouring them over top of this canvas using a fun little technique that you'll see. And it's a really cool, the way that the paints end up mixing themselves. There's little bubbles in the acrylic paint, so those will pop and create cool little like circular textures. And it just looks really neat. It's a really fun way to make really bright, colorful paints and to sort of play around with the ideas of color. So everybody should have gotten 3 of these Craft Smart paints in their kit. And that's what we'll be using today. So without further ado, let's talk about it. What do you think? All right, so basic setup, we're gonna need our pans, of course. Then we're gonna need something, I'm using some cups. Cups work well, or anything to really just be able to elevate this canvas because we want the canvas to be off of the pan. So you see how we got some airspace here. And that's because eventually we're going to be having this paint poured on here, and then we're gonna kind of be like tilting it. Almost like one of those games where you have to like balance a ball, and try to get it into something. I don't know if you guys still have those. I'm sure you do. But yeah, okay, cool. So we got our pan, we got our little elevation system, and we've got our canvas. So this is our basic setup here. And we want to make sure, and I of course put some extra newspaper down underneath my pan. I highly recommend everybody does that before we get into this because acrylic paint is permanent, guys. It's basically a plastic-based paint as opposed to tempera or watercolors, which are water-based, of course. So this paint, it's designed to not wash away. So it's used a lot for like wooden signs or clothes, or, nicer, different various paintings that you don't want to wash away. So definitely make sure you have your area covered. We don't want to make a mess, of course. So cool. Once we have our basic little area set up, the next thing we're going to do is start working on our paints. So everybody has 2 canvases so that they can try this, twice. And basically, you're going to want to pour, you're going to use half of this paint bottle for one canvas. So we're going to start by, I already actually poured mine in here, but we poured half of this container into this cup, like so. And we're just going to leave it like that for now. And I did the same with my other ones. So I got this light blue, I got this cool teal, and then I got this sharp black. So we're also going to need some water nearby. I just put some in a cup. You can use a water bottle too. But that's because we are going to pour just a little bit of water into these paints and sort of mix them all up together. So make sure you have your craft sticks should be around as well. Yeah, you can keep your paintbrush handy. Paper towels are always good to have, or something, to wipe it up. Cool. Okay, so I think we're ready to go then. So let's start with this blue paint here first. Now we can see the texture of it is pretty good to start, honestly. We're only going to want to put just a tiny little bit of water in there, a very, very little bit. So, and this is something, guys, when we're doing this, when we're pouring our water, make sure you pour just a tiny, like couple drops at a time and then mix it and stir. But the consistency that we want to end up getting, all right, that should be okay. Give it a good stir. The consistency we want to get is almost sort of like honey, if you want to think about it like that. So we want it to just kind of drip a little bit off. So you can see how that drip is running a little bit there. If we can get it to the point where it's like dripping down a little line almost, that would be wonderful. So that's actually getting pretty close there. I might just add a tiny little bit more water to this one. I think we'll be cool. And the stirring's fun, you know, you can pretend kind of like you're a chef or something like that. Just having a good time. Now, I really like this activity too, guys, because of course you might all remember if you've been to the makerspace before, I'm not a very talented drawer or painter necessarily, but I do love exploring colors and I do love visual art. So this is a really fun painting project that you can do, even if you don't consider yourself a very good drawer or anything like that, where you can get cool results that look really neat. And you're also having fun getting to explore what those colors look like. All right. So this is pretty good. I'm going to do one more little thing of water, and then I'll move on to our next paint. This is pretty close, I would say. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right, give it a good couple of twirls there, guys. Sweet. You see how those strips are a little bit longer now? That's great. We'll put that one aside for now. All right, we'll do our cool kind of like tealish green next. So I remember from the last one, and you know, you guys, like I said, we should have poured about a half of your bottle of paint in here. So we'll know that we have basically about the same amount of paint of each three of our cups. So we know from the last one that I ended up pouring it like 3 times, you know, 3 different instances. I would still encourage everybody to kind of take that little more careful, kind of slower approach, because if you make it too watery, it's not going to work as well. So definitely err on the side of caution, as they say. But I feel confident putting a little bit more water in this off the bat, just based off the last one. All right. Now we're gonna some good twist in action here. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. That's looking pretty good. Keep twirling it. Oh yeah. That's exactly what we want. Cool. All right. We got those paints. All right. And I encourage you guys, if you have, okay, we're gonna do the black now. If you have any materials still left over from the other projects, it'd be cool to see what you could combine here. I know, you know, since you have 2 canvases, I think the first time you should probably just try to do the simple pour over technique, just as it is, just so you can know what it is. But for the second time, if you wanted to lay some string across here, and then pour over top of that so that you know, once the painting dried, you could pull up the string and have some cool different like white lines or patterns kind of swirling around through your painting. That would be really interesting. It might be cool, you know, you could use if you have any like cardstock left. You can make a little frame for your piece, would be nice. Ooh, okay. So this black still seems a little bit thick here, so gonna keep twirling, add a little bit more. All right, that should probably be good there. Oh yeah. So we'll just keep pouring. All right. Not quite where we want it just yet. I'm trying to make sure. So you can always, a nice thing too, guys, is once you know how we have our blue and green kind of ready, you can probably feel that if they feel about the same amount of heaviness, you know, going back to that word density that we talked about. So that can be a good test too if you're having one you're not so sure about. So this feels a little bit heavier. So we'll add just a touch more water. And again, guys, like we said before, like in the spirit of making, in the spirit of the makerspace, this is all about trial and error. So we're just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. All right. I'm not as crazy about this consistency, so I'm actually going to add a touch more of black paint. Mix it in. Because I think I may have been a little bit too watery there, guys. Got a little audacious. Which audacious, you know, just means you took some chances that you maybe didn't think out. You weren't as careful as you should have been, maybe. All right. So that's getting way closer to what we want. Give it a couple more twirls here. Make sure we're really mixed in there. All right. There we go. There we're starting to get some of those lines we want. Awesome. All right. So I feel pretty good about that, guys. Adjust this angle a little bit more. All right, cool. So now we should have our 3 paint and water mixtures, right? Now the next part is you're going to mix them all into 1 cup. So we're getting pretty close here. This is a kind of a shorter activity. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and mix them into the black cup. Everybody should have either a black or a white as like a solid base color. You can mix into that. I don't think it really will affect that much either way what happens. We're going to go ahead. So we're going to mix in the blue first. Cool. You can see it looks kind of neat sitting in there. Remember when I said it wouldn't exactly mix necessarily? So get that going. All right. I'm going to use my stick here and make sure we're getting out as much as we possibly can. So, boop, boop, boop. Come on. All right. Cool. Okay. And we'll mix in our green, our teal rather. Starting to see it's looking pretty cool in there. All right. And I'll do the same thing. Scrape a little bit here, making sure we're getting as much of that paint as possible. All right. So we're ready to go. We should have something that looks kind of like that. You can see how the colors are kind of, you know, not necessarily mixing all the way just yet. Now this is the hardest, messiest part, guys. So make sure we're proceeding very carefully from here. What we're going to do is take our canvas. We're going to put it over top of our cup with paint. Okay. Then we're going to flip this over, set it back down. Okay. All right. And from here, be careful because it might pop a little bit, but you're going to slowly pull up your cup. Whoa, pretty cool, right? All right. And then from here, this is where our hands are going to get a little bit messy. We're just going to start slowly swirling around and see what kind of image we get. So this, I had the teal, the blue, and the black. It almost kind of looks like a galaxy. And you can mess around, see how the paints are going. And do it very slowly, guys, because you're going to see more colors kind of pouring out, or pulling out, rather. Okay. Sorry, I'm very concentrated. And this is nice. I think we got a good level of thickness here because the paint isn't moving too fast. So you want to make sure that you're catching any paint flow that you can in your pan. We don't want it flying everywhere. So check it out, guys. And if you want to leave some white space on your canvas, that can look cool, or you can go the whole way. I think I might go the whole way because I'm really enjoying this. Sweet. I really like pulling out those blue colors from underneath. I'm actually gonna stand up here to work on the angle I'm getting, you know. All right. I'm gonna cover up this corner here. And then I'm gonna all the way back down across. Wow, look at how cool. I know the lighting's not great, but you can really see those colors stretching themselves out. Isn't that sweet? Looks super cool. Finish that, let it do its thing here. Creeps down towards the bottom. Cool. All right. All right, guys. I'm gonna check it out. Okay, it might not work as how I wanted to, but you get this cool looking painting. I actually really like the colors on this one. It looks really cool. So once you get here, guys, that's basically it. If you want, you can mess around with the paintbrush and kind of go in, do what you want, add some flares here and there. But what's also cool is that you now have all of this paint in here, in your pan. So, you know, if you want to use that to paint on something, you know, show you guys here. I'll paint the inside of this cup so you can see some of the different colors. Doesn't look as cool as it does in person on the camera, but the point is, this is a great way to get some mixes of colors and textures that you might not have thought about before, you know, or that wouldn't be sold in a store, of course, obviously. So now you have your whole little pan here filled up with paint that you can use for another project or another thing that you want right now. So that's pretty much it, guys. Give it a try. Like I said, the first time I would recommend just trying doing the basic pour over technique, just see what you get and go from there. And then from there, the second time I would mess around with it a little bit, see what's cool, see what you know, what you want to change, what could be different. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So guys, thanks again so much for participating in Makeshop Camp. I know we're about to say goodbye once we're finished with these videos anyways, but I just wanted to say that, you know, this is really fun for me. I hope it's really fun for you. And yeah, thanks for being fans of your library. It's very, very cool. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Hope it goes well. I feel confident that it will. And yeah, enjoy yourself. I'll talk to you soon.